Molly Crabapple, contributor for BuzzFeed and contributing editor at Vice. Just got back from Puerto Rico and joins me now. It's good to have you here. I know your dad's from the island. You have friends there. You got outside San Juan. Where were you?
I was in Barrio Mariana, which is a small village in the municipality of Humacao, which is the first place on the island that the hurricane hit.
And what was, how much federal presence did you see there in terms of military or FEMA or federal officials?
I personally saw zero presence. When I was there, the only aid that people in Mariana had received was a municipal truck that gave people 2 small bottles of water, a pack of tropical flavored Skittles, a Nutri-Grain bar, and a pack of Virginia sausages. I do know that the military and the FBI came about 3 weeks after the hurricane, and they did distribute MREs and water. But yeah, that was pretty much it.
And in terms of how people were living their lives there, I'm assuming there was no electricity.
None.
And how were people getting the basics, which is water, electricity, and food?
Some people had generators, but if you have a generator, your life becomes an endless wait on 6-hour lines for diesel. To get water, you either waited for hours and hours at Costco using your scarce reserves of gasoline, or you went to a creek on the side of a mountain and you collected it in a jug. So
people were just like getting rainwater off a creek?
Yeah, or spring water off the creek. That's what I did, and then I brought a filter and we would purify it. But this is very dangerous because disease is spreading on the island because there were all of these animal corpses that were left to rot, and it's getting into the water.
So I mean, how? It sounds to me like a non-functional situation. So it sounds like what's happening is people's days are taken up with the basics of survival. There's nothing. No one's going to work or doing the things that you would normally do, right?
Exactly. Communication is so bad that even pharmaceutical companies, which are the biggest industries there, are calling into the one radio station to tell their workers whether or not they should come to work. So most people don't have the ability to get to their jobs. Their credit cards don't work. Their EBT cards don't work. It's huge lines to access the ATM, and you have $200 maximum, and that cash will run out. So it's the struggle for survival. But the thing about Puerto Ricans is that this is a very, very close-knit culture. This is a culture of family. It's a culture of friends. It's a culture of barrios, of neighborhoods. And so people are taking care of each other. It's not the federal government that's taking care of people, and it's not FEMA. It's people taking care of each other. In Barrio Mariana, the couple that I stayed with, Christine Nieves and Luis Rodriguez Sanchez, actually set up a community kitchen that's currently feeding hundreds of people. And these community kitchens are happening all over the island as people give up on help from FEMA and decide to take caring for themselves and their neighbors into their own hands.
How aware were people of the president's comments, the president's perspective towards Puerto Rico? What were the feelings about the federal government and its involvement?
One older woman I spoke to said, "Oh, Trump came to the richest town in Puerto Rico and threw toilet paper at people's heads. He's trying to humiliate us." In general, it's viewed as an extension of the same sort of racist, colonialist, and stereotypical thinking that America has had for Puerto Rico since it colonized it in 1898.
Do you think, do folks have hope that things are going to change in the short term, or is there this sense that this adjustments we've made to just eke out survival, which is food, food, water, electricity, diesel, that is going to be the sort of status quo for a while?
Some people have accepted that will be the status quo for a while and are trying to build on it with these community efforts. Other people are just sort of hanging on. One woman that I met, her mother, who has Alzheimer's and dementia and can't speak, she was kicked out of her nursing home because there was no electricity and doesn't have access to medicine, and and she's trying to keep her mother alive in this crushing heat with no access to clean water. Someone like that needs, help as soon as possible. They can't just adjust.
All right, Molly Crabapple, thank you for your reporting. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.